Okay, our last speaker this morning is Jonathan Muller. Jonathan's from the Peace of Mind Foundation and has been involved as a specialist palliative care nurse since 2012. Possessing a well-rounded understanding of cancer, he also pursued various courses and training, including Buddhist studies, spiritual care, creative arts therapy, and family constellations. Jonathan has developed an intense interest in meaning making, how we understand life and death, and how we might go about approaching both. Understanding the cancer diagnosis of the individual in the context of family and carers and the broader community. The approach is to respond to the unique needs presented in every situation. So Jonathan has taken on the role of Australia's first community brain cancer navigator, which is a project of the Peace of Mind Foundation with support from the Geelong Hospice Foundation. So Jonathan's going to talk to us today about his role as the community brain cancer navigator. There's Jonathan, there he is.
I'm really impressed everyone's come up here without notes. I've got notes. And also, talking of fatigue, maybe we'll all just stand up. I'm the last speaker and everyone's kind of going to sleep. Stand up and just sort of move yourself around a little bit. Just wake up a little. Or you will all be asleep as I'm talking. Good. Whilst you're standing, I'll just do a bit of acknowledgement as well. Really acknowledging all the people in the room that had brain cancer and their families and carers. Yeah. Acknowledging the people online. Maybe you're standing up at home as well, moving around at home. Acknowledging the land and the air. We're on the 25th floor, aren't we, up here? So we're not standing on land. We're up in the air of the Indigenous folks that are here. Anyway, you're all good to, once you've shaken it off and you're ready to sit down, good to go. So just a little introduction. Yes, I'm with Peace of Mind Foundation. Peace of Mind. It's Australia's leading brain cancer support charity, and our mission is to give support, courage, and a voice to the brain cancer community. And we give that support very much here and now. Thanks, man. Cheers. Whilst all the really other smart folks are working on a cure. Let's get this going. Good, that's who we are. And so for a very small organisation, we have a pretty large impact upon people. We have a small team of 6 advocates covering all of Australia to access government supports. These services are difficult to understand, apply for and navigate. And so importantly, the team have made some big inroads with the NDIS, which can be a real game changer. And also other services like disability support, carers allowance, the aged care system and the like. So this team accesses millions of dollars in funding from the government for our clients to help them live their best lives. We also run day and weekend events with hundreds of people attending each year, and we have monthly support groups for patient carers and the bereaved. We offer financial grants for people in partnership with the Superheroes Foundation here in Melbourne, rounding out at about $60,000 per year. And then we have the Community Brain Cancer Navigator program, and that is in Geelong, that's where I work, and recently now also up in Ballarat and Bendigo, and soon to be in Canberra. So this navigator role is what I'll expand a bit upon whilst I'm up here. This role is unique, and it's the only one of its kind in Australia. I have experience in nursing, counselling, a host of other trainings, interests, and experience that equip me for this role. Really, in this role, my main focus is on making connections and addressing the human experience, really from the perspective of the community. So how does it look like from the perspective of a person in the community with a brain cancer and then having to navigate and find their way through the medical system? I engage with people across the domains of medical, legal and financial, but really importantly on the social, on the emotional, spiritual, practical and fun aspects of living. Really importantly also I'm a point of continuity from diagnosis right through all the various specialities and onwards into bereavement as well. A key bonus and a unique feature in this role is that I have a lot of time on my side and I have a very wide scope of practice, meaning that I can respond to people's needs as they arise on any given day in the house. And I can spend hours, if need be, to see things through. So if I'm not responding to an expressed need, I'll be pointing out areas in people's lives that they may need to pay attention to, guiding them, assisting, or plugging them into the appropriate services. So as a navigator, the term, I help people map out really an understanding of actually where they are and then where they need to go through their lives. A growing understanding, I think I've been in the role now for 4 years, and my understanding is to more and more focus on the family or the care system around the person. If they're supported, I find that the patient fares better, and I find that the family unit will function with more ability, more capacity, being better equipped and empowered to manage both themselves and the care of their loved one. So, to give a taste of what a typical day looks like in my role, and as you can imagine, it's fairly varied, and I do a lot of Ks. I think I knock out about 25,000 Ks a year. I cover not only Geelong, but the southwest, down towards the Adelaide border, the South Australian border. So, I can be organising a family conference. That's with numbers anywhere, really, from just a few people up to, I've had 25 people in a room at any given time. It's really to bring the family members together, to be present, to discuss their understanding of the diagnosis, the treatment, and the likely trajectories. Moving them forward to provide a sense of common understanding, getting together on the same page, a sense of unity, and by also encouraging and allowing an expression of an emotion. It gives voice, recognition, and helps regulate family members so they can feel they can move forward together. So these sessions can often be up to 2 hours. I also might be encouraging and actively coordinating for the person to take a holiday in their lull period in treatment, empowering them to put actually enjoyable things on their calendar rather than just bloody medical appointments. So shifting the focus towards living. And examples are really good feel-good stuff like, I don't know, helicopter trips, Cape Otway Lighthouse getaways, enrolling in a surfing lesson, or coming to one of our peace of mind retreats. Also, those financial grants, we'll use it for difficult things like maybe paying a bill, but also, getting on a helicopter. It can go both ways. I might be taking the time with the patient and family just after the initial surgery, just to unpack and check in with their understanding of even what cancer is, what the particular type of cancer might be, and you can assume that the family members have not been present for some or all of those medical appointments, and they've created their own stories via the internet. Conversing very much in everyday language rather than medical lingo, and allowing lots of time for people to evaluate and cross-check their understanding of things like radiotherapy and chemotherapy, and what it looks like at home, what it actually looks like at home for the oncoming weeks and months. I can be having a guitar jam session with someone to see if they've still got some dexterity in their fingers after their surgery. And in that particular case, he did, which was lovely. I take people out for a surf. I've rehoused a cat. I've mowed someone's lawn. If you're really lucky, I might even take my dog in a peace of mind outfit to come and visit you in your bed, That's little Mo. I might be taking a carer for a walk through the botanical gardens or on the beach for a very different conversation to the one that you might have at home, and certainly in the clinician's office. I might be stepping back into that home space with a couple who are losing the ability to connect, who don't know how to relate anymore, given all the drastic changes in their family and relationship roles, allowing time and giving the encouragement for the ability to recognise one another in the fast-changing environment that a brain cancer diagnosis has brought into their lives. So I thought to give a little joke, because I know these talks just get really kind of like blah, 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 blah. So this one tickles my sense of humour. So there's a fellow who's really into self-improvement, and he gets diagnosed with cancer, and he catches up with a close friend, and he goes, right, it's not cancer, it's just personal growth. All right, so I guess probably a good way to illustrate, I've said a lot of words about what the role is, so I'm going to give you some stories now which should hopefully give a little bit more meat and flesh to what's going on out there. So there was a chap, to really establish connection with this guy, he's a little bit standoffish. I went out surfing with him. He's a 55-year-old man with a glioblastoma. Afterwards, I'd drop into his home periodically to talk openly about his oncoming death and how to make sense of living and addressing the legacy he would leave for his 3 children. I was there at home at a really critical moment when he became very paranoid, partly from disease, partly from the medications he was on. He thought he was being wrongly accused of a criminal act by his daughter, and he was considering to evict her from the house. And among a collection of really scared family members and clinicians in the house, I could step in as a trusted person, neither family nor clinician, really as a trusted person in the situation to de-escalate it, repair those relationships and keep some harmony in the house. I went on, after he died, I was the celebrant at his funeral and guided a paddle out to scatter his ashes in the sea. I supported a woman who was aged 57. She was living at home with a GBM glioblastoma diagnosis, and she was a massive tennis fan. She found it difficult to be in social situations or to be just generally outside in the community to run errands or whatever she needed to do. She was retreating further from the outside world, very much into the confines of her home. So I secured an iPad for her on which she could do meditation apps, surf the internet, but really importantly, she joined an online mindfulness group, which she felt safe enough to attend weekly. And then we managed to get her tennis idol, Roger Federer, to make her a really personal video message wishing her well. And it was just beautiful to watch this woman watching it on her iPad with a tear rolling down her face. And she later told me whenever she felt really low, she just played this personal message from Roger Federer to herself, just to make sure that she felt worthy in her life. With another family, after 18 months of connection and support and being very involved, I sat with that family in a vigil for hours at the bedside of the 76-year-old man as he died, gently surrounded by tenderness and connection. I've hung out with a 10-year-old girl just at the pool, mucking around, not talking any sense, playing the fool, and not talking anything serious related to cancer. I had the opportunity to turn up for a man who wished to use voluntary assisted dying medications. His family felt unable to be with him at home in this process, and so I sat with him quietly on a gentle sunny afternoon, just with the neighbours' kids playing next door and making sure he was not alone in his final moments. I got to organise a helicopter ride for a 70-year-old woman to buzz around her hometown of Geelong for one last hurrah. I offered to take a 65-year-old gentleman out to search for his missing pet bird, just driving slowly through the suburbs, with the windows down whilst he made bird calls, leading us to the edge of town, and it gave him enough time to satisfy his feeling to have searched well enough to honour his cherished pet. I offered my knowledge and capacity to a wife who wished to do all the mortuary care at home for her husband. I picked up a coffin here in Melbourne in the back of my station wagon. A few months out, I helped ensure that she had the correct cooling equipment at home to keep him hygienic at home. I ensured we had a good ramp to transfer this man safely out of the house. Gently and unhurriedly, we loaded that casket into the van I'd hired, and we went on to the crematorium where she could press the button and send her beloved off, completing her wish to be in full contact with her husband, really from start to finish. Over the course, this is the beauty of the role. I have time on my side. Over 18 months, pretty much every other week, every 2 to 3 weeks, I'd sit with a 27-year-old man just to play card games, puzzles, go fishing in the nearby bay. It was a simple act of companionship and friendship. It was priceless. And I sat down, this is the last little story, I sat down with two boys aged 6 and 8. They got shoved into a room with me. The mother pushed them in and said, right, talk to this man. The father's in the room next door, and he's actively dying. And so ask him anything. So the 6-year-old, as they are, was just brutally direct and just goes, right, how soon will dad be dying? And then the very next question, like without a heartbeat, how does a black hole form? And I was like, oh shit. Okay. So there's some of the stories, and now I just want to sort of talk a little bit about my observations about what's going on here. I guess it's a key component in the Navigator role. So who's remaining focused on the person when the medical system is run out of options or it's simply not working? What goes on then? These are the people, right? So I can tell you from first-hand experience, there's a lot still to do. So currently, successful treatment equates to having more time. And collectively at this conference over the next couple of days, it's really what the game is It's focusing on buying people more time. And perhaps that extra time is an opportunity to do or say some things that needed to be done or haven't been attended to yet. But I would say that I find mostly it's a recognition of the everyday moments being so precious, meaningful and worthwhile, that having breakfast with your family, going for a walk at the beach, catching up with friends, or just watching the bird outside your window, these are the things that really matter. It's a subtle and difficult thing to not only recognize that, but to live out that understanding. And I think the trap is to look at all the limitations and the deficits and the change in your life circumstances and wish to return back to the way it was. One of the main intentions in this Navigator role is really, it's an attempt to address this issue. I'm interested in how people are using their time. I mean, God, the whole quality of life, God, that's a slippery thing, isn't it? And God, it's hard to live out. I think a cancer diagnosis, it really should change us. Rather than aiming to get back to normal, life should look different after a diagnosis. It should hone, or it should change your priorities. It should make us pause and reevaluate things. And I want to highlight not only our individual, but our collective response to a cancer diagnosis. I really wanted to raise the idea that hope does not require or need to be based upon a cure. It can be based upon many other goals. Goals of connection, courage, dignity, honesty, compassion, just a willingness. I would suggest that these goals are very much achievable, regardless of whether the cancer is curable or not. We can approach a cancer situation as an opportunity to support a friend. Right here is an opportunity to develop and show your empathy. I wanted to raise the possibility that a cancer diagnosis actually can bring people closer together. That you might become better informed by the situation to respond in a healthy way for when your turn comes or when someone close to you. I mean, I think in Australia statistics, I think it's 450 people are diagnosed every day with A cancer, right? It's all around us. I think that it is possible, one person at a time, that we as a community can change the way that we respond to cancer and the people involved in a more healthy fashion. It can lead to more healthy living with or without a diagnosis, right? Deeper connections, alliances, and sharing the common good. I'm just going to read out a text that literally came through this Friday from a gentleman, a lovely man. So it goes like this. I'm guessing he's roughly a year into a glioblastoma diagnosis. I also learned a lot through the process. Like there is still time to grow as a human being, time to understand yourself better, time to share experiences with those you love and complete strangers, time to be humble. This is what I've learned. I look forward to listening to others and what they've learned at the men's retreat. We've got a men's retreat coming up, in summer. Cheers and all the best, Paul. Beautiful. All right. So I encourage you all to be involved. And I can report firsthand that good things in this difficult space are possible. Thank you.